What is up, everybody? Doing a little test right now. Davis and JJ, am I still echoey?
Yeah, you're echoey, so people are gonna come to listen to us talk, which is what they want anyway.
Woo.
Hot, hot takes. All right.
There, you're
Well,
fixed. You're fixed now.
I don't understand. I'm not doing anything, so I'm not sure what is fixed or what is not fixed.
That's good. Right now, you sound amazing.
Don't
Okay.
move.
All right. Well, welcome to the Fantasy Insiders DFS show, week one. I'm Soccer Dave, aka David Kitchen. Joining me, the two donkeys from last year, Davis Maddock sporting the Janus jersey, and JJ Zachariason from Number Fire. Guys, how's it going this week?
It's going great, man.
Great, man. I'm
I
ready for week one.
haven't slept, dude. I'm hype. I'm hyped for NFL, dude. My entire existence has been NFL for like the last 48 hours. So
And
pretty
and
hyped.
JJ, you're even more hyped because of the Pittsburgh stuff.
That's right. I can't wait to watch us get smoked tonight on national television. It's gonna be
There's
awesome.
What? It's just gonna be vindication, bro, for all the shade you've thrown Rob Gronkowski's way.
This needs to end. This needs to end. My highest owned player last year, guys, Gronk.
I don't
okay.
believe it.
Highest owned player.
All right, well, let's talk about the. Let's go ahead and get the first game out of the way because some people are going to be listening on the iTunes channel for Fantasy Insiders, and we also have the YouTube channel that this will be on. So we'll just get the first game out of the way because some people are playing Thursday night games. That is New England and Pittsburgh, and there actually are some like good options. So much so where I'm kind of like afraid to even play this slate other than Gronk, because like you've got Brady, you've got Antonio Brown, you've got some of the Patriots wide receivers. JJ, I'll start with you as kind of your overall feeling for tonight's game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely fading. I'm just not even playing. I'm not entering games tonight, really, just because of the ambiguity throughout the entire game with all the suspensions. With we don't know what's going to happen in the Patriot backfield. Like it feels like one of those games where like people are going to roster Brandon Bolden and he's going to score 2 touchdowns and you're going to hate your life for it. Like it just it doesn't feel good. Brady has a really really high ceiling, and I think just because of other quarterback options that I like at a better cost, I'd rather just not deal with this game because I do think Brady's probably the second best quarterback this week behind Rodgers. But I think just in general, obviously Gronk's in play, obviously Antonio Brown's in play. If I had to dig a little bit deeper, I like someone like Danny Amendola probably against this horrible secondary. But to me, it's a clear fade. Just kind of enjoy the game. Just don't worry about DFS today.
Spoken like a true Pittsburgh fan. Davis,
Yeah.
what's your take?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Gronk is the best play here, and I'm kind of enjoying all the free salary cap that creating rosters with Greg Olson instead is giving me. So I'm fading. Not that I think that everyone should. I think Brady's an option. I think it's fine to just lock in a roster that you want with Brady or Gronk on DraftKings with a late swap site. Like I don't have any problem with that, but I don't want to use Marcus Wheaton. I think that there are a ton of wide receivers that have better prices than Antonio Brown. So it's like I'm not like trying to force action on this slate at all.
Yeah, I agree. So let's just move past this one. Let's just say if you are listening to this tomorrow, aka Friday or Saturday, and you faded this game, then hopefully you feel good about yourself. Other than Gronk, I think Gronk is definitely the guy that if you're playing, you want to make sure that you have some exposure to. Other than that, I don't think you have to, but it's scary fading some of these options. And I've talked to other DFS players who kind of are saying the same thing. So, all right. So 5 minutes in, there you go. That's that talk. Let's focus on the big week one slate overall. Davis, what's your overall feeling about week one? Obviously, with DFS, the sites have come out with prices like weeks ago. So you have had a lot of news since then, a lot of roster changes, depth chart updates. What's your feeling for this week?
It's pretty great on all the major sites. There are enough favorable prices that you can kind of just use the guys that you specifically feel good about. And I think the biggest thing is going to be Sam Bradford's price because a lot of this they were released before Bradford had gone on that crazy run in the preseason. And I mean, it was always stupid. Bradford was always going to be a great DFS play almost regardless in this game just because of the system, but he looked so good in the preseason that I think now a lot of the people who were like, "Oh, Sam Bradford sucks. The Rams made him trash. He always hurt." Like even the people in like seasonal fantasy who at the start were like, "Oh my God, I would never roster Sam Bradford," are like, "Wait." Turns out every Chip Kelly quarterback has a ton of fantasy value.
Yeah, and that's the fast-paced Eagles. You also talk about the Giants, which we'll talk about later, because Davis, in your rankings, I saw someone who is number one, which people might be a little, I don't know, entertained by. So we can talk about that. But JJ, what's your feeling about Week One?
Yeah, I mean, I have the same take as David for the most, or as Davis for the most part. I mean, you have a couple clear high end quarterback plays. Like you have Rodgers and Brady if you're playing that Thursday slate. But at the same time, you have Bradford at a really good price. There's some other, from like a season, like obviously I've been doing so many drafts and such, but there's so many of those 9 to 13 round guys, ninth to 13th round, like the Ryan Tannehills, the Carson Palmers, like those kind of guys that have really, really high ceilings this week. And then you have, I mean, the most interesting thing, one of the more interesting things to me is that you have one of the most high powered offenses in the Colts. And I know that Davis isn't a big Andrew Luck guy, but you have them going up against a really good defense, and it's going to be interesting to see how people kind of handle that. But to me, I mean, from a lineup construction standpoint, there are a couple guys that I'm just throwing in every single cash lineup and then building around that. And then again with the quarterback position, I think it's basically there's just a couple guys that I'm targeting from a cash standpoint.
Yeah, and obviously some big prize pools for Week One. And also, the first initial reaction when I saw salaries, kind of going by how salaries were last year, is that the sites are a little bit soft with their pricing, and you can play a lot of different combinations. I don't think that is any sort of coincidence because sites want you to play a lot of different combinations. So when you're talking about, for instance, like on DraftKings, when the top quarterback is under 10K, then you have tons of options, and you don't have to, especially in cash games, fit anybody in that might be a stretch. I feel like you can get a pretty chalky lineup in and feel good about it week one. So let's talk about the quarterback position, though those core plays. And JJ, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think Aaron Rodgers is the clear number one play this week against Chicago. Chicago's defense is putrid. It's got a high team total for the Packers. I think that he's just not only safe, but he's got the ceiling even without Jordy Nelson. So I do have Rodgers as the number one guy. But I actually, we mentioned it with Sam Bradford. I think that you have to love Sam Bradford this week as a potential. I mean, there's a legitimate argument to make that it's, to me at least, that it's Rodgers, Brady, and then Bradford as the number three quarterback this week. I think you have. I mean, you have one of the highest team totals, the highest team total outside of the Thursday slate, because the Patriots have a higher team total. And then you have a guy that obviously they're going to run a lot of plays. And when you have the combination, volume doesn't really matter at the quarterback position. But when you combine it with such a high team total, you know that it's going to be a big deal, and you know that I mean, chances are Sam Bradford's going to put up a lot of points, and then you factor in the price point, and it just blows you away at the kind of value that he has, especially over on DK. So I think Bradford and Rodgers are two guys that are kind of staples in my lineup, and then on FanDuel, I'm very very okay with going min price and living that Tyrod Taylor life.
Yeah, I am completely comfortable with Tyrod Taylor, and that's what I was about to say. Is that Bradford? It seems like on the teams I've been creating so far, it's been Bradford, Rogers, and Tyrod Taylor as far as
Yeah.
the three core plays. And with Tyrod, you can just it's basically you can feel a lot better about your wide receivers. I feel like with Tyrod in your lineup, and
Yeah.
Davis. you were on board last year with Johnny Manziel first week one. I'm not even going to talk about you saying
Well, not
what
week
kind of
one. He
floor
didn't.
he
He didn't
had.
start week one. I think it was like week
Oh no,
11 maybe when he started
sorry.
against the Bengals.
That's right. Even though you did draft Johnny Manziel on our FSTA team, because you said he would start
Obviously, I did.
before week one, and you
Yeah,
made a bet with somebody too. Who did you make a bet with?
everybody. I don't know, anyone who wanted action on like anti Manziel, it was like insta booked. So that
Oh,
went pretty
all
well,
right.
I would
So
say.
yeah, it definitely went well. So your take on Tyrod Taylor, because he's kind of in that same mold as far as a running quarterback.
He did okay at Virginia. He averaged 4.4 yards per carry in college, keeping in mind that you lose yardage for sacks as a college running quarterback. He ran a 4.540, but his agility score is actually really good. It's 10.87, which is kind of in line with like really good running backs or very quick wide receivers. So I think the rushing upside is definitely there. He's not a pocket passer I mean, he can't do it. Like we're talking like 220 yards and no interceptions is kind of what you're looking at the as far as his upside. Also, his wide receivers suck. So this isn't a scenario where, he can throw it to Calvin Johnson or Odell Beckham and that kind of artificially buoys his numbers. He's out there throwing to Sammy Watkins, who is going to be locked down by Vontae Davis for the entire game. Robert Woods, like his supporting cast is just bad. There's not really any way around that. And his head coach is Rex Ryan, so that means that the game plan is not going to be inventive at all. It's going to be a lot of LaShawn McCoy, a lot of Carlos Williams, basically what you're hoping for. And I do think he's a fine play. Like I think that the salary relief that he offers is valuable still, even though Bradford is cheap. And I think probably the optimal way to attack this week is to have a Tyrod lineup and a Bradford lineup and use them both in your cash games. But I think people need to be aware that both the floor and the ceiling are kind of low for him.
Yeah, do you agree, JJ?
Yeah, I think the thing with Tyrod that people are kind of overlooking is that, I mean, his floor is not great. I mean, even though he does have the rushing abilities, the whole idea with rushing yards should really be more icing on the cake than anything else. I mean, he really could struggle. I mean, the way that you gash Indianapolis is on the ground. And if LaShawn McCoy's healthy, which he says he's not, but they're more than likely going to play him. I mean, that's where the fear is, that they're super, super run heavy, and they will be super, super run heavy. So you basically need, out of Tyrod, you need those like 50, 55 rushing yards for him to hit value this week, which I think he can get. But don't underestimate the Colts secondary. It's really strong, and if Vontae Davis is indeed shadowing Sammy Watkins, it could be a tough time for Tyrod.
Who was the quarterback in week one last year that everyone wanted to play and it burned them really bad?
Sean Hill,
It was
that was
Sean.
so bad. It was
Oh yeah, it was
unbelievable
Sean
how
Hill.
bad of a play Sean Hill was, even from a
Who was
theoretical
that?
standpoint, not even
Who's
from a
the
results.
yeah.
I don't even know who it was against, but it was Sean Hill, coached by Jeff Fisher. That was never, ever, 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 ever ending well. It was never ending
You
well.
mad, bro? Yeah, no, I
It was
agree.
just so bad. It's like it was just so
I don't
bad.
know why. I don't know why Davis is complaining because he was one of the people that were saying not to do it. So you should have like benefited from doing it. That was a
No,
hot
I
take.
I know I did.
That was a hot take we stayed
I
away
want
from.
people to learn.
That was a hot take we
Yeah.
stayed away from. So we have to be proud of those few landmines that we avoid. All right. So as far as like GPP quarterbacks, other quarterbacks in that Philly game, Davis, notice on the Fantasy Insiders rankings, you're the only ranker that does not have Matt Ryan ranked in the top 10. What's up with that?
Yeah. Because I'm not super on him. I think a lot of people. I think he's like fine. Like I'm not like Matt Ryan's a bad play, but like if you give me an option between Matt Ryan and Ryan Tannehill in the respective matchups, I'm gonna take Tannehill. That's maybe my kind of a hot take for the week, is I think Tannehill is better play. So like if you look at the options for Ryan, it's Julio Jones and that's like Roddy White is not good. Leonard Hankerson is not good. Is Levine Toilolo still their starting tight end? He's not good. Tevin
Jacob
Coleman,
Tamme,
I
bro.
think maybe Jacob Tamme, there you go. Jacob Tamme was fantasy relevant in 2007. That was the last time that happened. Like
You also
it's not a good offense.
you also have to consider who they're playing though, and like the number of snaps and the game flow of that game.
This is a
And
huge mistake people are going to make. This is a
and
huge mistake people are going to make
narrative
this year.
narrative alert, it's on Monday night.
Well, I don't. That doesn't mean anything.
It means you get to sweat.
But
better.
Kerry
Monday night
Williams.
games are always better to sweat.
Yeah, so take Bradford. If you absolutely want a piece of that Falcons offense and all the plays you think they're going to run, take Julio Jones or take Tevin Coleman, because Tevin Coleman's just at a really good price.
I know, but we're
But
talking
like I said,
go ahead.
I prefer Tannehill.
Okay. I mean, but like I said, you didn't have him in the top 10. And it's
I
an
mean,
Eagles game.
pretty low.
That was
Thanks,
probably
JJ.
an oversight.
JJ, can you back me up on this?
No, I agree with you. I mean, I like Bradford more than Ryan. I think Ryan's overrated a little bit just as a fantasy quarterback in general, but you can't ignore this matchup. Not only that, but you have to attack the Eagles through the air. I mean, the Eagles can stop the run. That's why I wouldn't be into Tevin Coleman personally. Even in, I mean, I'm not really playing him that heavily this week, even in GPP. But like I get the allure with Matt Ryan because you do have to attack the Eagles through the air, because there is a high over-under, because he has Julio Jones. I mean, to me, he's a top 10 quarterback, but I'd opt to go Sam Bradford.
All right, let's get to some of the comments in the chat. We've got Matic really has a Jeff Janis jersey. Unbelievable. That from Jay. And then Michael Roberts. He bought that Janis jersey more than a season ago.
I bought it before he made the 53. I was that confident, dude. I was like, he's absolutely a thing. So, money well spent. Money well spent.
All right.
I will say with the quarterbacks, I do want to throw this out there. I love Andy Dalton this week as a GPP option. Love him.
He's really good.
And that's something we talked about on. Yeah, I talked about that earlier in the week. He's got a lot of good options.
Yeah, I mean, like him against when he's a favorite against a bottom half secondary over the last 2 years. There's 8 games worth of data. He has a 25-point average, fantasy points per game average. So I mean, it's really strong.
Yeah, and to that point, I feel like AJ Green's the guy that is not getting any love. We'll get to wide receivers in a second, but man, he's just flying under the radar. And I brought this up on a show earlier this week, but a couple years ago, that Andy Dalton Bengals stack went for the first $1 million prize in DK. So that's definitely something. I definitely think he's up there. I think Matt Ryan is up there. Eli, as much as I don't want to say it, Eli and Tony Romo, that game could just be absolute flames. It'll be a fun one. From like a DFS fan industry perspective, I'm really looking forward to like the sweat shows and the hangouts, because Sunday night and Monday are going to be really fun. There's going to be a lot of fantasy points, and that's always
nothing in the big tournaments this week is going to be decided until Monday night because of the game that is Monday night.
Well, and 2 games you've got in that last game. You've got AP, who a lot of people are going to be on that could decide.
Yeah, like on my teams are going to be like 50% done on Sunday. Like I'm going to have no idea where I'm at in. So
definitely,
we'll
I feel like I'm the same way when I'm making lineups. I'm like, I almost want to play just a bunch of Sunday only contests just so I can get some action in and feel complete, sort of, because a lot of mine are going to be decided Sunday night and Monday night. All right, so let's get on to the running back situation, and we just talked about AP. We did have a question. Let's scroll up. How far do you drop AP since John Sullivan's on the injured reserve? JJ?
He's still my number one guy, even with.
Is
all
your
of the
name
things.
JJ?
Is he really your number one guy? Do you have him number 1 this week?
Yeah, it's like not close.
Really? I think Eddie Lacy's a better play this week.
I've got.
Okay, so I would say. Yeah, I think Lacy is like fine, but historically, when Adrian Peterson is a starting running back, for the Vikings, he gets like a 72% market share of all of their carries, and now he's getting a full season with Norv Turner, who has historically involved his running backs a lot in the passing game. Like Matt Asiata had 44 catches, which was second on the team last year, and now Peterson is getting all of that work. The 49ers, I have it up in my article, which I will pull up right now, and I'll read all of the people who are missing from their defense. Their highest graded player from last season, Chris Borland. Their second graded player, Justin Smith. Their third highest graded player, Ray McDonald. They're losing a starting defensive back in Chris Culliver. Alden Smith and Patrick Willis are all gone from that defense, and they hired a Fern for their head coach. So I think they're going to be a terrible, terrible team, and I think they're going to get destroyed on Monday night.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think the thing that I have with Lacey, you got a higher team total with the Packers, obviously. Then you also, Rich Rebar actually had a great stat that I read today that last season the Packers were touchdown or better favorites in 7 games, and Eddie Lacy was a top 15 back in 6 of those 7 games. Like it's almost a lock for me for Eddie Lacy to produce, whereas there are question marks with Adrian Peterson. That offense is not as good, obviously, as the Packers are. The matchup is better for Eddie Lacy, and Adrian Peterson hasn't played meaningful football in over a year.
Yes, and this is exactly the way, like just the way our personalities in fantasy football go. You're gonna go with the guy who's a lock for 110 yards and a touchdown. And this is obviously every time someone says this is unreasonable, but like Peterson could be the highest scoring player of the week, no question. I think. Like quarterbacks included.
I don't disagree with that. I think Lacy's just the better cash game option.
Yeah, and like I won't fight you on that, but Peterson is who I'm personally opting for.
Well, let's fight, Davis.
If you have Tyrod,
here's one you'll fight with. I really like C.J. Anderson this week against what is. Okay, then never mind. But I would say he's actually
Nada's gone. I mean, the game script is going to favor
Brandon Williams is a very, very talented nose tackle.
Yeah.
All right. So let me put this in a group for you, JJ. You've got Lacey, you've got C.J. Anderson, and you have Jeremy Hill. I'm not even going to include DeMarco Murray, but those are kind of guys around the same price point. How would you rank those 3?
Who was the second one you said? It's Hill, Lacey, and Hill?
Hill, Lacey, and Anderson.
Oh, I'd go Lacey, Anderson, Hill.
Yep.
Davis?
Same order for me, just put Peterson at the top of that list.
I think I'd go Hill over Anderson. But
all a man has in this life is his takes, dude.
The thing with Oakland and that Oakland game, it's again, I mean, you attack Oakland through the air. That's another reason I love Andy Dalton. Like their best cornerback is a 7th round pick from last year in TJ Carey. I mean, they're not good in the secondary at all, and there's reason to believe that they can. I mean, they were decent at stopping the run last year. They just gave up a lot of fantasy points because of game script because they had so many 3 and outs. But like, I think that in general, you know, I don't mind Jeremy Hill by any means, but I do think that because of the offenses that Lacey and
there's just way more usage risk with Hill than there is with Anderson because Anderson is the only talented running back on that roster. Like Hillman is bad, Monty Ball got cut, Juwan Thompson is basically just C.J. Anderson. Like he would just fill in the same role. He's not a spell back. Whereas Hill has Gio Bernard, who they still are going to use. He still has a role in that offense. So,
all right,
it's really that simple.
Okay, well, let's move on to running back number 2 because I feel like it's difficult if you're not playing Tyrod to get those that top tier that we just listed both in your lineup. So you have to go with a running back number 2, with someone in the lower tier that has some upside. Is that guy Chris Ivory for you, JJ?
Yeah, I like Ivory a lot this week, especially on DK. There's some other guys. I mean, like if you're playing Bradford, for instance, you can fit in Justin Forsett too, who's a great option on DK with the full PPR. I mean, are you giving up a nah wave?
We just got the first nah wave of the season from Davis.
Are you serious? How do you not? I think Justin Forsett's one of the best value running backs this week on DraftKings. Like
It's like literally I'm so not shocked that you like Justin Forsett. It's like unbelievable.
I'm the only
Look, the
person I
game
think
script.
that ranked him in our ranks for FanDuel, and
Now, okay,
pretty
so I
low
will
rank.
say this: a little bit of it is my season-long bias, where like Justin Forsett is like not worthy of a draft pick, like where he's going in season-long, and like I just, I mean,
Look, look,
God, JJ's
look. You have
probably right because of Trestman. You're right.
you
Whatever, I'm
okay.
wrong.
You have the Trestman effect with the running backs, but that's not even that's more of like a season long look. But you have no number 2 receiver in that offense. They're going to have to be a little bit pass heavy in that game, not only given the high game total, but given the fact that they're underdogs. The game script's going to really favor Forsett out of the backfield. Forsett could be pelted with targets in this game, like destroyed with targets. I mean, like the
Pelted,
Broncos. The
pelted.
the Broncos secondary is strong. It's good. They can contain Steve Smith. I do think Steve Smith is okay this week, but
Yeah,
like just this
contain
sets.
Steve. Like he's some terror out there to be dealt
No,
with at
I'm
39 years
saying
old.
okay,
That
but
guy.
I'm saying that is the only option in that offense is Steve Smith. Like Justin Forsett is
Well,
going to get fed in this game. Fed.
an option is that they just suck. That's
Well,
also an
yeah,
option. Like
An
they're
sure,
just not a
option
okay,
good
is
but
football
how
team.
much do you?
an option is also to pronounce it Forsett instead of force it, JJ.
Whatever. I mean, like I guess he's fine, but like I would
It's better
rather
than
I would
Joey.
rather have
It's better than Joey.
that's the all-time worst pronunciation in the history of fantasy football.
Joe Week and Evan Silva will be on the show tomorrow. He
Well,
said
no,
Joe.
actually the
He said Joe Week. Listened to a podcast during the preseason, and he still said Joe Week on the Ross Tucker pod. And I was like working out, and I know, right? It's like kitchen's working out, but I was working out and like about lost it in the middle of a workout because he just said Joe Week. It's a great take by Evan Silva. All right, so let's move past Forsett because that was definitely more time than I was expecting us spending on
Sorry.
him. Let's focus though on Ivory. We just like you just like derailed the train, JJ. Get back on to
I'm
Ivory.
sorry.
Davis is giving me the
Sorry.
thumbs up. You're giving me the thumbs up too. We've got two
It's
thumbs
getting
up.
it's getting darker because it's starting to storm here in North Carolina, which is why
Yeah,
I'm slowly getting
look.
darker.
So you are looking like Evan Silva was last year. Just you're getting
Right.
progressively.
No, I just need to be more like this. Then I'm really Silva.
Yeah. Well, no, and then you have to get lower, bro. It just has to be your head.
right. It's more It's more like the.
All right. Okay, so Ivory definitely play on FanDuel and on DraftKings. He's like 4,100. Like,
I would actually
Yeah.
say Ivory is like I would actually probably I've done a bunch of rosters and I have not ended up with Ivory on a FanDuel one yet.
right.
Yeah,
So
he's a better play in DraftKings. But what about Doug Martin though? Doug Martin's not much.
Yeah,
I think that's
Doug-
the big
Doug
decision
Martin-
that people are making this week is Doug Martin or Chris Ivory over on DraftKings at least.
Doug Martin is a better play, but people hate Doug Martin, so his ownership percentage will be lower.
I think he's riskier.
People also,
Because-
I don't think he's riskier. I think Tennessee is so bad. I think they're such a bad football team.
Yeah,
It's
the
unbelievable.
Bucks' offensive line though is so atrocious.
Davis, you ranked Ivory higher than
I don't
Martin on FanDuel. All I'm saying.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do, man? I haven't slept, bro.
All right.
It's so good.
I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. Like I was just like I think they're close. It's not like I'm saying like one is like unplayable. Like the guys that I put in my article, I put both of them in there in the same tier of guys. But I think that Mark Ingram is actually kind of my guy in that range.
All right.
Which
Brett,
I don't know. I guess maybe that's a little contrarian.
yeah, definitely contrarian. Brett Boy wants to know Doug Martin or Justin Forsett. I'll go Forsett. JJ will go Forsett, and Davis will go Martin. Right?
Definitely.
Okay.
I think Tennessee is such a bad football team.
I think no one's really arguing with that. How are we feeling about the difference between Chris Ivory and Tevin Coleman? That from Alex.
Ivory's safer,
Yeah.
but
I
I
think
really
Ivory's
like
a
Coleman. I
safer
wrote
play.
Coleman up.
Yeah,
I
you
can't.
wrote.
I just can't get into Tevin. I can't get into Tevin. I'm on Team Tevin. It's week one. I'm going to play it even safer than my safe way. Anyway,
This will be the most touches he gets all season long. He will not get more touches in another game than this game
All right.
because
I feel
Devontae
like I
Freeman
should
has
turn
an
on the
injury.
light.
Yeah, you should do that while
Yeah,
I talk about how
I'll
great
go turn
Tevin
on the
Coleman
light
is.
really quick.
go for it.
So Tevin Coleman's competition is Devontae Freeman, who is injured, and Taron Ward, who anyone who plays college DFS knows was a backup. He was a backup running back for Oregon State, who is a garbage Pac-12 team. So in other words, he does not have any competition. So any running back touches that are to be had will be to Tevin Coleman, and he can catch some passes. He had 54 receptions in college. And he had 25 in his final season, so I'm all on board.
All right. So fair enough. We should also mention TJ or TJ, one of our guys. He plays a lot of high stakes stuff. Talked about Amir Abdullah if no Bell, and if there's no Bell on Sunday, Abdullah is I think a great play. 5,900 on FanDuel. I think he's around 4K on
It is 4K.
on DraftKings. So
Yeah, those are great price tags for him.
Yeah, he's close to a must play.
If that's out. Yeah, I wish we
It's
had
working.
Mr. Tuttle on the show so he could roll his eyes when he said he was in the play. But he'll be on tomorrow's show. Okay, let's move on to a wide receiver. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat, and we will we'll try to get to them. A lot of questions so far, so at least people are entertained. Must play on Sunday is someone I think who everyone's going to be agree on. Let's just put it out there. Like we're not giving away any secrets.
J Matt.
Devontae Adams.
Do it. No.
You don't think
What?
Devontae's a
I mean,
play?
No, he is. I'm just saying J
I
Matt
mean,
is
Adams
better.
Adams is a staple. Should be in every cash lineup, bar none, very easily.
Yeah.
Right,
And,
but so this is the difference is Adams is like legit a trash GPP play because we don't really have any idea of his ceiling, whereas Matthews is just a straight amazing play. Like
I mean,
overall.
yeah, but
Like, he has the best.
you're also talking about like very different tiers in pricing here.
Dude, they're only 1,200 different on FanDuel. Like it's like that's not a huge
Yeah,
jump.
but that's still okay. It's still fairly significant. I mean, sure, J Matt's a better option, but Devontae Adams is a clear lock for cash.
If you put
I agree with you with GPP. I'm not disagreeing with you.
If you put a gun to my head on FanDuel and said you can only take one of Devontae Adams or Jordan Matthews, I would take Matthews if
All
you
right.
made me choose.
You guys know I'm like the biggest Jordan Matthews fanboy since college. He's a Vandy guy. He scares me this week as far as like a must play type of guy. But I feel like everyone's going to be on him. So he and Devontae.
What could possibly scare you about him? He has an amazing matchup. His quarterback is the best quarterback he's played with ever. He played with 14 different quarterbacks at Vandy and set the SEC record for receptions and yards. He caught passes from Nick Foles and Mark Sanchez. What could scare you, bro?
It's really not the. It's like his price tag is kind of up there for someone who I don't feel like he's proven yet. And I know like that's but we don't know like the system.
I mean, no. I mean, like I think there's
ball
some
out.
merit. Yeah, there's merit to that.
It's
I just feel like
unbelievable, dude. It's like
I know, but the
No,
way
I mean,
that
like, I don't
Philly,
think-
like spreads the ball out, like I'm just scared that he might only get like 5 catches for 60 yards or something and not be a must play.
Look, I love J Matt this week. I think J Matt's an amazing play this week. I think he's one of the best values this week. He's in a ton of my lineups. But I cannot. I mean, Devontae Adams is literally. I mean, he's the first guy that I click in all my cash lineups. Period. Like way before J Matt.
yeah, I don't have any problem with that. What I'm saying is, and I'm not going to give it all away because I talked about a ton of this stuff in my column, but I will say Jordan Matthews has the best wide receiver cornerback matchup of the entire week, other than Mike Evans versus Bray Wilson. And so if you add in the fact that J-Matt was a top prospect, played like a top prospect, had 2 double-digit touchdown games, from week 8 to 17, he had 5 targets in every single game except one, and is playing with the best quarterback he's ever played with, including college. It's hard for me to it's hard for me to be scared.
Yeah, I mean, we're all agreeing pretty much on the same thing. Like, it's
Yeah, we are. Let's
All
move
right.
on though.
You want to talk about
I want to.
you want to talk about Mike Evans?
No, because Mike Evans, I like just stay away. Just stay away.
No, stop. No.
You're gonna mess with a hammy injury? Like, I mean, I didn't even rank him. Like, I am completely staying away with the other options. You want to mess with a guy with a hammy injury on week 1 in a cash game? Maybe
if he plays, yeah.
No.
No, if he plays, he's a great play.
Dude, that game could be that game could legitimately be a disaster. Just a big flaming pile of turd like that.
Dude,
that
he had
game
a 57% market share of Tampa Bay's passing touchdowns last year.
Right. But you're also talking about I mean, like, the matchup's great. All that, like, Vegas already came out with a pretty low over under. I mean, no one has confidence in those quarterbacks. Like, they didn't show much in the preseason. Like, not only that, Jameis didn't love Mike Evans in the preseason. I mean, with the hammy, with all of that, I can't.
There's just no reason to. There's no reason to play.
Exactly. There's
Mike
so
Evans.
many good high end options. Yeah.
Gosh, I freaking love you, JJ. Freaking love you. Like, we just like speak truth to Davis.
Yeah.
Davis just has to take it. Take it, Davis.
I mean, Evans is a good play. He's going to be covered by Bill DeBray-Wilson, who was like a bottom 5 cornerback in terms of fantasy points allowed last year.
Yeah.
I don't know, bro. Mike Evans is pretty good at football. Hot take.
Listen, we're not talking about like Mike Evans. Like, we're talking about a game that could be disastrous, and more so for me, an injury that you just do not want. Like, I don't mess with hamstring injuries. I just don't mess with them. So I'd rather spend a pretty high sum.
You know that every study done on like guys who are listed as questionable or doubtful indicates that as long as they play, they have the same fantasy points per game average.
Okay. Sweet.
JJ knows that for sure.
No, but we're talking about a risk that you don't need to take because of other high end options, which I'm sure Kitchen was about to talk about.
Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not.
Calvin Johnson over Evans all day.
But Calvin Johnson is actually playing against a good cornerback.
Give me AJ Green over him all day long. I think AJ Green's one of the most overlooked, higher priced wide receivers this week in general. And like I said, that Oakland secondary is trash. Their corners are terrible. Like, he's going to be fed because it's AJ Green in that Bengals offense. I mean, I think Green's a guy that I think is going to be a little bit underowned, because if people are going to spend, because right below him is typically like the JMAT value, like on DraftKings, for instance, and then right above him is Dez, and if you want to spend even a little bit more, you have Julio. I think people are going to be off AJ Green this week a little bit, and I think that he's going to have a monster week.
So
yeah, I mean, I don't have any problem with that. I just think Mike Evans is really good. He has a really good matchup.
We get it, Davis. Can we move past Mike Evans?
I don't know.
All right. Anybody else hurt?
Yeah, that's fine. It's just I don't know why people would attack that like it's a bad play when he's so good.
Are you guys playing Eddie Royal this week if Alshon's out?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, I'll
so.
probably do Stevie. I'll probably do Stevie Johnson for salary cap relief just because Evan talked me into it for an entire offseason.
I want to talk about
punt wide receivers tilt me.
Yeah, but they can also like win a lot of money. See Drew Dinkmeyer. So let's talk about the high end receivers. Davis, you've got Odell Beckham ranked number 1. Number 1.
Woo.
That turns out he's pretty good at football.
You went from like this over here all the way to this over here, and number
crazy.
1. Yeah, I feel like is too high for him for where his price tag is. Like, you would rather have him over those other elite receivers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, without Victor Cruz, he's probably guaranteed 12 targets. I don't know. He's the top 4 talent at the wide receiver position in the NFL. That offense literally, like, it's the same offense that made him have the best points per game fantasy season ever. So like I don't. It's just he's amazing.
You like him more than Julio though?
Yeah, yeah, I do.
Like I think Julio's well, Dez too. I mean Dez too.
I mean it's pretty close, but I have Beckham higher.
Like, I feel like Julio and Dez are pretty clear top plays for
Yeah,
me.
I
Like
would
in
I
that
would agree.
MCO.
And
Yeah, I think
Demarius
they are
and
too.
Demarius Thomas too. Over.
Yeah, Demarius is a little
No,
underrated. Yeah.
yeah, not Demarius. I don't think.
And also, I think as far as like the sites on FanDuel, like having Odell Beckham as number one just seems crazy. On DraftKings, like I could maybe see it more with the targets.
I don't like. It's unbelievable, guys. This is Odell Beckham. This is Odell Beckham. Do
Oh,
you like? Have you like? Do you like? I don't
go
know. This is
ahead. No, go
unbelievable.
ahead.
This is a conversation right now.
Don't let us stop you on your love for Odell Beckham.
I cannot believe that
Look,
this is happening.
we
Like
know you love him.
This would be like
I
JJ
do.
JJ
He's a
coming out
great
saying,
football player.
I know you just said like a complete 180 from last year. It'd be like JJ coming out and saying like this year how much he loves Gronk. Like it's just crazy.
Yes.
God, I slipped
you're the
that one in
worst.
there. All right, let's move on. Let's get to some questions. People are wanting to know about Lamar Miller. So JJ, I'll let you field that question.
Yeah, you know what's interesting? Whenever I first started building lineups, Lamar Miller was a guy that I threw in there, but then I started thinking about it, and I think in that Miami offense, Jarvis Landry is actually probably the better option, and he's the same price over on DK if you're looking for like a flex. I don't love Lamar Miller as much because of what Washington does well. They actually have a decent front seven that can stop the run. They stopped the run really well last year. I think Landry is going to be able to, and not only that, but they might have the Dolphins' offensive line hasn't looked good. So combine the two, Miller's not as enticing of an option. But I think a guy like Landry is one if you're targeting someone from that Miami offense, which you probably should because the Washington secondary is really bad. I think Landry's a guy that's going to be in a lot of my cash lineups, at least over on DK.
Yeah, I agree. I had Landry on DraftKings as well. I think he's an interesting option. I am also with Davis about liking Tannehill. We got a question from Max about. He said, "How crazy am I? How are you using your flex this week? How crazy am I for wanting to play Gronk and Bennett in cash games?" My answer to that would be pretty crazy. If you're playing Gronk, like there's just so many better flex options than Bennett, uh, in wide receiver or running back. There's going to be some sort of news that opens up a ton of value. Guys that we have already talked about that are much
Ivory.
better value options. And that's like I always, not always, because every week is different. But I am a firm believer that for cash games, it's just a lot safer to get three running backs in your line to put a running back in that flex spot. Um,
Yeah.
yes, embarrassing. I did win the Daily Fantasy Accuracy Cup last year by employing that strategy. And I will also say that I employ the strategy of using Davis's picks with a little bit of common sense tied in, and Evan Silva's game matchup. Like that was the perfect formula for me. And yeah, so enough about that, guys. Stop bringing it up. It's embarrassing. All right. So another question. Cowboy DBs blow without Scandrick. Not sure that's a question. It's more just a comment. But that kind of goes to the topic of ODB. And to that, Ruben Randall. Someone mentioned in our NFL Slack chat today about using him in cash games. I'm not going to say who, TJ Hernandez, but he asked if it was crazy. I think we all kind of replied with yes, but I think he does make an interesting option as far as a tournament option, especially if like you go with a quarterback wide receiver combination in a big tournament. Like if you fade ODB and go for Randall and Eli over that. Someone made the comment earlier. I think it's Adam Leviton on the show earlier this week saying if you really want to win $1 million, it's going to be really tough to have or no, it was Andrew Wiggins. He said if you want to win $1 million, there's going to be like 500,000 teams out there. The double handcuff strategy is going to be like you need basically everyone to hit, and a double handcuff strategy is not going to hit because you want like the max point. Like it'd be a perfect lineup scenario. Couldn't get that word out. So yeah, I think an interesting option is having like an Eli Randall combination, but I want to get your take, Davis, on Randall for like tournaments.
It's actually probably a better cash game play than a tournament play, just because I don't really think he has a ton of ceiling. He's been a horrifically inefficient player in the NFL and doesn't really project to get a ton better. But he had 123 targets last year, so if you assume that he gets 8 targets in this game, maybe he gets 6 catches for 85 yards or something like that. That's fine for your cash game lineups, but I probably wouldn't work him in tournaments a ton.
JJ?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Davis.
Yeah, whatever.
No additional takes.
I'm not gonna put him in a fight. That's basically what you just said.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to tight ends. Someone asked earlier if it's gonna be like a Gronk night, and yes, it's a Gronk night if you're playing on Thursdays. If you're not playing on Thursdays, though, I feel like I'm handling the situation a little bit different from DraftKings and FanDuel, using 2 different options. So I want to see if you guys kind of share that sentiment. JJ, like you work with Numberfire, works on FanDuel, so you can't really play on FanDuel. But what are your thoughts about the tight end situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think tight end in general this week after the Thursday night game is Greg Olsen. I think he's pretty easily. I mean, especially on FanDuel, if you go Tyrod on FanDuel, you can basically do whatever you want. But if you're not going Rodgers, for instance, I think it's pretty easy to fit a guy like Olsen into your lineup. I think he's probably the pretty clear number 2 option this week overall. And I mean, he's literally the only option in that Panthers offense. We've seen Cam Newton rely on him week in, week out. He actually last year in full PPR leagues he had 2 more top 12 weeks than any other tight end not named Gronk. I mean, the guy is a consistency machine. So I'm really into Olsen this week. The Jaguars over the last couple of years, I mean, their defense has been bad, but they've also given up a lot of points to tight ends. So he's a guy that I'm using more. I think the other guy that a lot of people are going to be on is Martellus Bennett as well, just because of where his price point's at, just because of the Alshon injury. And then over on DraftKings, I'm kind of into 2 other guys. Is Delaney Walker has a pretty good price point, and don't overlook Jordan Reed in the Redskins offense. One of the big things with tight ends, obviously you want to get the touchdown because that correlates so strongly with fantasy output. But targets matter. I mean, volume matters at the position because it's just so hard to get. It's such a scarce thing to get from your tight end. And Jordan Reed could really see a lot of volume. The Redskins last year, their group of tight ends had the 4th most receptions of any other group in the NFL. Kirk Cousins with Jordan Reed, it's only a 2-game sample, but he's in the 2 games, Jordan Reed had 13 receptions. So I think there's a lot of reason to think that Jordan Reed has a decent floor this week. He's finally healthy. So that would be a guy, if I'm looking to save a little room, I would go with.
I kind of agree. On FanDuel, it's Olsen.
That's all good.
On FanDuel, it's Olsen. On DraftKings, it is it's going to be probably Delaney Walker or Olsen. But Delaney Walker, I did want to, though, get a hot take for Josh Hill from Davis. Because he's ranked.
I mean, Arizona is just
Go ahead.
Arizona is just a team that has historically struggled against the tight end. Hill played a lot in sub packages last year. Benjamin Watson played over 600 snaps last year. So it's not like they're all of a sudden going to be introducing him to this role, and the role that Hill played before is going to disappear. I think the most likely thing that happens is Hill keeps a similar role to what he was last year, which was a pretty good red zone option. And if he proves himself throughout the course of the season, earns a larger role. I just think this happens to be a pretty good matchup for him, basically. That's about it.
I feel like Kitchen served this up just so that we would fight, like 100%. He had 20 targets last year.
So much. It must be NFL season.
No, I think this is a situation, like, I was into Josh Hill after, like, the Jimmy Graham trade and so on, but, like, every single thing that the Saints have done in this preseason, in the offseason, has pointed to Ben Watson being their tight end. Absolutely everything. And like I know that we want Josh Hill is superior athletically. Ben Watson is like 49 years old and he's not good. But this is what the Saints coaching staff is doing, and there comes a point in time where you look at that and you have to ignore the fact that Josh Hill is probably the superior talent and see how these guys are actually using Ben Watson. And Ben Watson to me would be the superior pick over Josh Hill this week.
I mean, the thing is like, I just have been over this with people so many times. So the thing is Watson played. Watson. Well, it might be the 20th time I've had this conversation. So Watson already had a role last year. So there's this huge, gigantic void in the Saints offense because they don't have a red zone weapon. Cooks can't do it. Colson can't do it. They can't run at the goal line all the time. Benjamin Watson was on the team last year and was not involved in the red zone offense. Josh Hill scored 5 touchdowns on 20 targets last year. That would seem to indicate that he can score touchdowns at the NFL level. His size and speed would also seem to indicate that he can do the same thing. So to me, it's like maybe the coaches hate him. Maybe he can't play, but it's hard for me to see what they're going to do in the red zone if they don't utilize him in some fashion.
But no, I don't disagree with you from like a season-long standpoint. Like Josh Hill probably has a higher ceiling than Ben Watson would, but if we're looking only strictly week 1, and you even said it yourself that they might ease him in more, like that's why you would probably go with Ben Watson over Josh Hill here in week 1, and that's what they've done in the preseason. I mean, Ben Watson got all the run with the ones. That's just what happened. So I have to go with that over anything else.
I just feel like ranking Josh Hill over Delaney Walker, having him over Delaney Walker in your lineups is grossly negligent. Like,
yeah, I agree
grossly negligent.
I didn't know that he had him over Delaney.
Well, he did. That's why I said, like, he did. So, yeah. But it's okay. I'm looking at Mr. Tuttle's rankings, and they're very close to mine. So, we're good. If I have Mr. Tuttle on my side and Davis is like on the opposite side, I know that like team common sense is going to take over.
I feel like
I don't know. I kind of feel like Delaney Walker's a bad play. I'm not sitting here disparaging him.
But I'm saying in general, not just you, Davis. Oh, look, the sun's coming out again. That Delaney Walker had 106 targets last year. Like he was super involved in that offense. He was a really good tight end option, and all of a sudden, not only in season long, but now with the pricing, I mean, he's getting no love. He has a good matchup this week. Right, and not only that, but the Titans wideouts outside of Kendall Wright are inexperienced or not good. I mean, that's essentially what you have. I mean, he's the de facto number 2 guy in that offense.
He's a good safety option for sure in the offense.
Remember when Justin Hunter was alive? Do you remember that?
Oh, I do.
This time last year, we were talking Justin Hunter.
Richard Rodgers, another guy that is kind of polarizing. I'm seeing some people like not having him at all on the board. Other people think he's a good source of salary relief. I'm of the mindset that, you know, as far as his price point, if he gets like in the double digits as far as fantasy points, like he's done his job. Like, good job. You've done it. And so that would be the target, and I think it's a very realistic target for him in this offense with their receiving options.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is anyone pretending to know what Green Bay's offense is going to look like without Jordy Nelson is completely kidding themselves. We don't even know what they're going to open up with in terms of starters. We really don't. We have no idea who is going to play where.
Mike, let's play a game. Let's play a game. It's called Mike Evans is doubtful, and that means he is likely not playing on Sunday. Davis, just go with this hypothetical. Mike Evans is not playing. What does that do for ASJ's ownership for a tight end? Are you more likely to play him at 3,400 on DK? Because that would put him up there with Delaney Walker for me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Delaney is the exact same price, so I would just And Jordan Reed's 33, I think. So played both of them over ASJ.
Davis.
Whatever combination gives me Evans.
What?
Was that not the question? I'm sorry. I'm on Twitter right now.
What just happened?
All right,
I'm sorry. I'm on Twitter right now because
No.
apparently it's a controversial thing to say Mike Evans is good.
Well, that's what we just were
Well,
talking
the
about.
question was
Being out. Gosh. All right. Well, good stuff. Good stuff to end the first show.
Yeah,
of the
that's
season.
what you want. That's what you want.
I'm on
Incredible.
the team that has Mike Evans. If Mike Evans is out. Incredible. All right. Team defenses, throw a few out there, and we'll get off.
It's
Jets.
the Jets, bro. Yeah.
It's the Jets. I'm not even. I mean, Brian Hartline and Andrew Hawkins are starting at wide receiver for the Browns. Like that's all. But not only that, it would be one thing. It'd be one thing if it was like a relatively decent quarterback, but it's Josh McCown playing quarterback. Like I'm okay. Like I might have 100% exposure to the Jets defense this week.
Gonna be unbelievable. It's gonna be unbelievable, dude.
How heavy are they owned, like in cash games? 70%.
They should be 100%. Yeah, it'll be.
Because some people are gonna pick like the Bucks, or they're gonna be some people
the
pay
Packers
up
maybe.
Like.
Yeah,
so
I think it's gonna be
70%.
Yeah, it's gonna be like them, Devontae, and Greg Olsen. I feel like on the weekend slate are gonna just.
Let's talk. We got like 3 minutes left. The Chiefs that is the GPP defense you want. A lot of people won't be on them because they aren't favored, but they're up against Hoyer and Alfred Blue, and their corner play should be improved. Drafting Peters, drafting Steven Nelson. So.
What about? I want to throw
Hopkins.
this. I want to throw this out too. Is the Rams against Seattle? Seattle's offensive line not very strong. The Rams can get to the quarterback. They got to Russell Wilson, if you recall. But not only that, and we didn't talk about this, but I'm not against using Benny Cunningham this week at all, especially if Trey Mason is out. The Seahawks gave up the 8th most receptions to running backs last year. Benny Cunningham had the 7th most receptions. Benny Cunningham had the 8th most receptions at running back last year. He had more receptions than Jamal Charles last year. So I think that he's actually kind of a decent high floor play. Match him up with the Rams defense, and that's an interesting GPP correlation.
Yeah, Benny Cunningham from MTSU, my and Natural Sluggers alma mater. If you take the equation, which is sometimes dangerous, if you take the equation as far as salary divided by fantasy points, then he's like one of the top values, especially like on DraftKings. But sometimes that is really dangerous to do because there's definitely some
catch
error
a lot of passes
with using it. He could, yeah. So I think he's kind of up there if you're looking, especially for like a flex play or running back 2 play. If you stack those wide receivers, I definitely think he could fill that void, as could Abdullah. Possibly if Jaweek Bell is out. So that will do it. Guys, we'll wrap it up as far as how excited you are for week 1. JJ, how excited are you for week 1?
I'm gonna be shower crying tonight, but after tonight, it'll be great. I'm very excited.
Okay. And shower crying tonight, we should clarify, because you're a Steelers fan.
It's because I'm a Steelers, not because I've had a very depressing week. It's because the Steelers are gonna look horrible on national television.
Davis, I'm pretty sure I know your answer. As far as how excited you are, your answer is.
Well, I was significantly more excited, but now the only thing I'm sweating now is Mike Evans being active, so that Lyle Cannon can feel silly about himself.
I really feel like this is one of those times, Davis, where you're on an island and it's like it's hot take island, and it's
unbelievable that saying a guy who's like kind of hurt can play. Like, that's unbelievable that that's a hot take.
It's really
like, what world do
unbelievable
we live
how
in?
much it's unbelievable how much of a stance you're willing to take on this. That's what's really unbelievable.
I mean,
Like when
Mean
literally
Girl
Davis,
DFS Twitter tells if all of Mean Girl DFS Twitter tells me I'm wrong, you're damn right I'm sticking to that
I'm
take.
not I'm not a part of Mean Girl DFS Twitter, but like when you take a look, like let's just like put yourself outside of your body and just take a look at the situation and realize like I'm literally the only one with this take and everybody else is against it.
Well,
Like
I mean, Lovey Smith said as long as he feels good on Sunday, he's gonna play. So at least the coach is with me.
okay, all right, fair enough. So tune in tomorrow. I'm sure we'll have much more Mike Evans talk. I'll be on a flight to Miami, so I won't be on the show. But Evan Silva will be with us from Roto World, and then Davis and Dan Gasper, Mr. Total 05. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to JJ, aka Late Round QB, on the Twitters. He also has a season long podcast, Living the Stream, with CD Carter, and then Davis, who writes the absolutes and does everything else, podcasts, everything. Make sure you're subscribing to our YouTube channel and our iTunes channel, and you'll get these on demand if you miss it. Appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm Soccer Dave. We'll see you tomorrow.